everybody. It is Craig Whispering Storyteller here, and I hope you are well. So this week I'm going to tell you all about my adventures or misadventures of being a filmmaker. So anybody who doesn't know this, I have been involved with filmmaking and writing screenplays for about 20 years, in excess of 20 years. I haven't made it big at all, hence I'm not a known person, but it's just something which I've enjoyed doing, and I've been chipping away, trying to kind of get on the foothold of the film industry. Well, I did for the longest time. These days I'm a bit more relaxed about it, and if things happen, things happen. I'm primarily a writer these days, but I have been involved with quite a few local films, and that were filmed in the northeast around over the last 20 years. Some very, very low budget and amateurish, some which have got a little budget. But I'm going to just share with you the story that I went from, and yeah, you might find it interesting. Hopefully you'll just find it relaxing and you can just listen and close off, go to sleep, whichever. So I am going to flip the camera the other way, and we're going to talk about these movies. So thank you very much, and we will flip the camera now. Okay, so I've got a few things here that I've been involved in, but let's start at the very beginning. So many years ago, my dad bought a camcorder in the 90s, and he was very, very precious about ensuring that it didn't get broken. So he forbid my brother and I, who were movie fanatics, from playing around with it. But every time he went out, we would make our own little short films, usually horror movies, to be honest. We'd have like our friends and cousins would come along and play a part in the movie. But as the 90s progressed and the millennium around that time, we got our own camcorder, and we made this film here. So this is an old battered VHS copy which we produced in 1999. It still exists, but this is something we made ourselves with our brand new state-of-the-art hi-8 camcorder. The quality is absolutely awful, to be honest. But this film we made with a lot of locals. See, it's even that old that the sticker has come off of the box itself. So we starred a lot of locals in this film, and basically it's a whodunit set on a radio station where this new DJ who operates as a late night talk show host is being sort of victimised by this weird caller who keeps ringing up every time. It's a little bit inspired by Play Misty for Me, the old Clint Eastwood film, except this is a bargain basement Play Misty for Me. But the locals love to see themselves, so we hired a big screen for the premiere, and we had a projector, and we hired the community hall, and we filled the place full of locals to watch this movie, and it went down an absolute storm. Again, a bit of a whodunit, and yeah, we have fond memories of this, even though it doesn't hold up at all. It's really poor sound, the camera work is really bad and blurry, but it does hold a special place in our heart. So that is Coven Bay, our first feature film. So it runs for about 90 minutes or so. Next up, we decided to form a group of people this company called Big Axe, and we advertised in the local paper, and we got a few people involved who wanted to make movies, and we bought this really nice camera. There we go. That was our logo, Big Axe Pictures. And that was the camera that we bought. So it was a Canon XL1 digital camcorder. So this still had the tape inside. It wasn't a hard drive or a USB, an SD card. It was actually a tape. And we thought we were the bee's knees with this camera because it looked really sexy when it was held. It really looked impressive. The film that we made was called Keyhole. Keyhole 13 was the name of the actual movie itself. So this was meant to be a feature, but it turned out to be a short film in the end. It ran for 30 minutes. And Keyhole 13 it was called, and it was a thriller. So Keyhole is all about Ginger, which is the lead character, and Ginger has an unusual hobby of breaking into people's houses while they are away on holiday and be kind of assuming their identities a little bit, you know, eating their food, wearing their perfume, wearing their clothes. And this particularly, her boss Tanya goes away on holiday to the Bahamas, and Ginger moves into Tanya's house, and but she doesn't know that Tanya hasn't gone away. She's actually been murdered, and she ends up being involved with the murder scene herself. There you go. And this was DVD, so we actually moved from VHS to starting to produce DVDs. Now we changed our name from Big Axe to Mindstorm Films. Mindstorm, and there is the logo there, Mindstorm. The film itself is not as good as what we hoped it would be. I think we were a little bit green, and there's a few things that didn't quite translate as well as what we hoped. Is it on YouTube? I'm not sure if it is. If it is on YouTube, I'll certainly post the link and you can watch it. But I ended up playing the part, and you can see there, starring. It's not a very imaginative box either. It's very plain. But I ended up playing the part as the main male character because the guy that we cast had not come back. So we filmed a few scenes with him, and then he didn't come back. So we had to redo the scenes, and because I knew the script, I played the part. And whether or not I did a good job, I don't know. A little bit cringy watching it now, actually, and I haven't watched this in years. To be honest, I haven't. But it was on YouTube. But it was back in the days when YouTube only allowed so many minutes. 5 minutes or something, so I think it ended up being in 3 different parts. I should really upload it. But that's Keyhole 13. It did okay. We did show it one night on a big screen in Durham, and it seemed to go down okay, but again, I've not watched it in a long time. The music's a little bit out of place, I think, as well. But it was a good concept. It just didn't really turn out quite as good as what I hoped, which is usually the case with half of these movies. So that was Keyhole. By then, we had another idea. This was called Deal, and this was filmed in black and white. And there's the back of the box, and again I appear in this movie. So basically the whole premise is that a group of people are held hostage by this crazy gunman, and they are forced to play a game of cards, and with each round, whoever loses dies. And it only runs for 9 minutes. And there's the actual DVD itself. Yeah, it was quite stylish. This one was actually alright, it was quite an enjoyable film. I haven't seen it in years, I just dug these all out because I knew I was going to be talking about them. Stick or Twist, that was the game that they played. Stick or Twist. Yeah. Half these people in here, I've never seen them for years. So that was Deal. At this point, I started to branch away from Mindstorm or Big Axe, and I started to write my own things with the aim of trying to get into something called Northern Film and Media. So this was 2005, and I was successful with a script that I wrote, and it got made professionally with a really great director called Scott Mann. So this was my first professional gig, and this film is actually one of my favourites. So basically, Northern Film and Media is it's a body of the UK Film Council, and they award money to different regions in England and Scotland, I presume, and Wales, where they champion local talent and try to support them to get a foothold in the industry. And I applied as a writer, and I was successful with this. So we got a nice little budget, and a film crew were paired with me, and the guy that made it was called Scott Mann. Scott Mann. Now Scott Mann is currently he was in the US, works in TV. He's done pretty well for himself. He did a film called The Tournament with a few actors, famous names, and he was rumoured to be involved with a remake of The Seven Samurai, but that hasn't come about. But this Pocket Thief was the movie that I wrote, and it's every single project that made it that year is on this. It's a big compilation DVD, and mine is the very last one. And this is probably one of my favourites of my films, I'll be honest. What's it about? Well, it's about this guy called Greg, and he's a lonely pickpocket who spends his life picking pockets to substitute the love he missed from growing up without his mother, who was arrested and taken away for the same crime when Greg was a child. Now the only link he has to the past is a gold chain with half a gold heart. And one day when he picks the pocket of an old lady in the street, he's pursued by a policeman through the streets, and he manages to escape down a back alley, but then discovers that the bag he stole holds the other half of the gold heart, which is his mother. There's no dialogue in it, but it's a very lovely film. I'm really happy with how that one turned out. Pocket Thief is on YouTube, but it's not a great quality copy. It's been hanging around for years now, but I actually saw this on TV as well. This appeared on TV one night, just on Channel 4. It did make it to a few festivals in France, and I went to one in Paris, and it was such a special memory. But Pocket Thief is absolutely one of my favourite films that I've been involved with. It's a lovely film, I really like it. After that, we did, as a sideline, I was still involved with Mindstorm, and we made this really bad, low-budget horror called I Spy. It was meant to be a little bit of a sequel to Corvin Bay, using the locals in my village where I came from, but we made a bit of a Big Brother style reality TV and pretended that it was live on Halloween night. So the idea was a group of people, the same people who appeared in Corvin Bay, were spending a night in a haunted house in the local area, and we were watching them live from a TV feed, and they all die. It was around the time of the Blair Witch and the found footage craze. It wasn't that good, to be honest. It didn't fool anybody. But in the meantime, I was writing more dramas, and I got a second gig from Northern Film and Media, but this time the one that I wrote was called Maybe One Day. So this, again, they call the scheme Stingers. So this was its 6th year, and it's a digital short film scheme, and again, they gave money to a group of writers, producers, directors, and it was aimed to try and strengthen that bond of the industry by, connecting people together. And there was 12 films that year, and mine was this one here, Maybe One Day. So this was my second film credit. Maybe One Day. Now it was directed by Alex Kinsey, and coincidentally he turned up in a day job that I had a few years later, and I was like, what? But the producer, Jack Tarling, is actually very, very, very well in the industry now. If you look him up, he's doing phenomenally well. He makes feature films, award-winning films. He is definitely one that has gone the whole way. So Maybe One Day is a story about, well, actually, we were given this actually like a commemorative book which shows all of the films that were selected that year, and there's a still from my year, from my film. So that's the director Alex Kinsey working on Maybe One Day. And it goes through all of the films that were featured. And there's mine. That is Maybe One Day. And the synopsis is: a sleepy village in the 1970s is home to Phyllis, a lonely widow who seems to have given up on life and love. Now Phyllis's world is transformed by the mysterious appearance of lines of poetry scrawled on a local bus stop. Reawakening long-forgotten memories, Phyllis delves into her past, uncovering traces of another life that nearly happened all those years ago. And to be honest, this wasn't the best film, despite it had great potential. It just felt a little bit flat and dull for my liking, so that's such a shame, actually. So that was Maybe One Day. Now, coincidentally, I also appeared in a video, another film, called A Trace of Her. So this was filmed by Karen Macy, and it is a really strange film, very dreamlike, and I played the male character, and I remember filming it. Now this, it says here, A Trace of Her merges filmed footage with hand-manipulated animation and an eerie soundscape to create a dark, atmospheric short about one man's desire and how all-consuming passion leads to all-out destruction. Now the soundscape, I was actually involved with creating the eerie ambience that is in the film. It is on YouTube, I think. description to it, but you can watch it. But it's very, very eerie and very strange, and was a very, very interesting short film. And all of the other videos are there, all the other films that were made. Some are really good. And there's a credits page of all the cast and crew for all of the films itself. Yeah, but it's a shame it didn't really kind of resonate that well with me or others, so it kind of disappeared without a trace. It had great potential though. So that was Maybe One Day and A Trace of Her. So when it comes to acting, I do enjoy a bit of acting. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I do enjoy. I have appeared in a couple of other films as an actor. One is called Young Hearts Run Free, set in the 1970s coal miners' strike up here in northern England. And I had a cameo appearance as a job clerk, and that was great. I did other short films as well. I did something called Slow Rot, which was filmed in a place called Thirsk, which is in North Yorkshire. And it was a kind of a trauma-style B-movie about a guy who starts melting, and he contracts this disease from this stranger, and he starts to melt. So it's very, very much a bit like Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. Do you remember that from back in the day? But those films unfortunately didn't come to any fruition because we either ran out of money or they just fell apart because of a lack of good planning. So I was involved with those films. I don't think there's anything where we can find any footage from them, to be honest. The next thing that I was involved in was my third and final Stinger. So Stinger 7, which was the year after that one, I actually got a director's gig. So I was a writer for Pocket Thief and for Maybe One Day, but this was my final bite of the apple, and it was a chance for me to be a director and try my hand at directing. So I came up with this short film called Ballerinas Lullaby, and again, that was selected. Now there wasn't as many films in this year's. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9 movies that were made. And again, I've got the commemorative booklet. Sorry, that's the wrong one. It's this one. So we had some various films such as Blind Eye by Laura Degnan, which was set on a bus. Breathe by a good friend of mine called Gavin Williams. How Far Does the Sea Go? Law. Now I was actually meant to appear in this film. And again, it was produced by Jack Tarling. No, I didn't get to the set in time, and it was recast to somebody else, but I'll always remember that. That was meant to be in Law. And there is Ballerinas Lullaby. This is my this is my writer-director film. And a very nice image there of a little girl in a yellow dress clutching a baby. So this one, because I was directing, I did a lot of groundwork with storyboards, etc. And the synopsis is: during an air raid, 10-year-old Emily must protect her baby sister Greta and make to the safety of the cupboard under the stairs. It is only on leaving the safety of the cupboard that she makes a shocking discovery. And to show you some of the storyboards that I created for Ballerinas Lullaby. Yeah, I just kept this little booklet and there was my storyboards, if you can see them. I like a lot of silhouettes. Yeah. So the colour yellow is quite prominent in this film. But actually, it didn't actually turn out as good as what I thought it would. I'm not quite sure what happened, but the final result just didn't come to the vision that I thought it was going to be. The reason for that could have been the dynamics between me and the two producers I had. So we all had very different ideas about how the film should look and feel, and I think there was a lack of confidence with some of us. It should have been a lot more bolder and a lot more abstract, because I had this, essentially it's a story about a lady suffering with dementia who thinks she's still a little girl. And I had all of these really expressionist kind of style filming with lots of bizarre imagery and off-kilter angles. Yeah, so that is Ballerina's Lullaby. It didn't really do the festival circuit or anything. Such a shame. It was a great opportunity for me to kind of have my style. So that was my final film from Stingers. And again, I don't absolutely hate Ballerina's Lullaby, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't quite reach the potential that I really thought it would. So after Stingers, I made the decision to start focusing purely on my writing for a number of reasons. One was that filmmaking was very reliant on teamwork, people being around you, being aligned with the same vision, and as you can see, I've had a few mishaps along the way. So I decided to focus purely on writing, which is where I could depend on myself, come up with some great ideas for scripts, and have a really focused deadline, and I would spend weekends. Now when I left Storyteller the first time for that many years, that was my kind of weekend pursuit, was to write. And I knocked out about 3 feature scripts. Now one was called Georgie, which was told from the perspective of one single protagonist who was trapped in a decaying house with a corpse. And I got a producer on board really quickly, and we fine-tuned that so well. We had about 4 drafts, but we kept tightening it up, and we managed to get a director on board. And we were all set. We were going to get funding from Europe to bring this whole project to fruition. We were going to build a set, a rotating set, because the film takes place in one location. But then, after so many drafts and rewrites, and it was completely aligned to the 3 of us, COVID hit, and we unfortunately lost the director. He passed away. Very, very sad news, very tragic. And it was a shock to everybody, because he was such an amazing, talented director who had a great track record of movies. But obviously on the back of that, the film actually stalled completely, and we just lost all momentum. And now I don't have anything to show you because it is just a PDF on my computer. Now what I've started doing, because when you write something and it's not filmed, it is just a PDF on your computer. You don't have anything to show for it, unlike an author would publish their books or whatever. So I've decided to start self-publishing some of the work that I've done, so at least it's something physical that I can say to somebody, have a read, here we go. So I've already started it with one project. So I co-wrote this project. So it was a short story that somebody had written. I loved it and I developed it into a feature film screenplay. And it's called Hopes 20. And that is the book that I've published. And if going closer there, you can see I've used a little bit of some feedback I had because I got very high in a screenplay competition. And the feedback was, this extremely exciting, gripping and creepy story leaps off the page with every line a compelling image. And that was from the Blue Cat screenwriting competition. So I mocked up a cinematic style poster there of a lot of wasps. And there you go on the back. Now inside, the whole script is printed off. There you go. So you can read it. You can read the entire script if you like to. And it's something I can say, I wrote it, I've got it in my hand. So the synopsis for this one is, okay, are you ready? A silent, unspeakable terror has arrived in a small, sleepy seaside town in northern England. There is a strange, stifling heat wave, and plagues of wasps fill the air, as if something truly evil is lurking in the still humidity. Henry Clarence is an oddball loner with a diabolical plan to end 20 lives as quick as he can. His motive, only he knows. As new police sergeant Tammy Gillett and her team attempt to stop Henry, the true nature of his crimes appears in sharper focus, and it's more horrific than anyone can dare to imagine. Can he be stopped before it's too late? And what happens if he reaches his goal? So it's a little bit of a supernatural thriller, and this is a tremendous script. I'm very happy with it. I don't know what to do with it. This is just for me, but if anybody wanted to read it, it is a really good read. I'm really pleased with this one. And that's Hopes 20. So I was going to do the same with Georgie, get that printed off, get it hot, even some images inside that I could create, and it's something that I've written myself. The other one that I've been working on over the last few years is called Stillness, but that is a drama, a period drama set in 2 different time frames. And again, I'm thinking about getting that printed. I did have a director attached to that, but again, you know, the film industry is really struggling at the moment, and I haven't been focused entirely on it lately. Now, the other one that I've written is Nutcrackers, which is a Christmas script, a family Christmas script. You might remember that I was writing that a while ago. I think it was last year. But the whole idea is, for me and the co-writer, is to try and sell it to streamers across Netflix or Amazon Prime. So we've wrote that together, and we're thinking about another one, another thriller. So the writing is keep going. As you can see, I do love to write. Now, the one thing I did do recently was I co-produced a film which went on to win an award, and that film was called Pins, and it done tremendously well. It is basically a fun funny story about a woman who goes on a date with this guy who is a total sleazebag, and her daughter has a voodoo doll of him and is playing lots of tricks while they're at this restaurant. It's really funny, and the performances are really great, and I was really pleased when that actually was awarded the best short film at the New Forest Film Festival a couple of years back, and the award was presented by Mark Kermode, who was a renowned movie critic here in the UK. And that kind of brings me right up to date now. So as you can see, there's been a lot of